Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving deep into a topic that honestly should matter profoundly to every single independent shop owner and professional detailer out there. And that's the absolutely high stakes process of selecting a product partner and getting certified.
It really is. It's arguably the most critical business decision a high-end detailer makes.
It has to be.
For those of you who work with vehicles that need, multi-stage paint corrections, specialized films, ceramic coatings, the partner you choose isn't just selling you chemicals.
No, not at all.
They're lending you their name, their reputation, their implied technical expertise. This choice, it directly impacts your bottom line, your liability, and your ability to keep a pristine professional name.
That's the stage we've set. And the reports we've compiled today are, well, they're pulling back the curtain on the potential pitfalls lurking within those high-gloss promises. We've compiled a deep stack of investigative documents, and they're focused specifically on one major coding partner, Fireball USA, and their master installer program.
And the evidence we've reviewed, it suggests some serious, almost systematic flaws in their model.
That's putting it rightly.
The core finding in these documents is pretty stark. It suggests a massive risk posed to professional detailers.
A massive risk.
Yeah, and this risk, it stems from a mix of factors described in the sources as, and I'm quoting here, unfair labor models and bad coding methods that damage car paint.
And that last part, damaging car paint, that should be a huge red alarm for anyone whose business is built on perfection.
It's the cardinal sin of detailing.
Our mission today is to act as your expert guides through all this material. We are going to extract the precise patterns of, well, technical negligence and, frankly, what looks like worker exploitation that we found in the source material.
Right.
By the end of this deep dive, you should have a clear blueprint, not just for avoiding a flawed partnership, but for knowing exactly what an ethical manufacturer relationship should look like.
Especially when you compare it against one that seems to view you solely as an expendable source of revenue. Because in this industry, reputation is earned one perfect correction at a time. It's all about technical precision, not just marketing flash.
And if you're an independent professional detailer, your hard-won name is your biggest, most fragile asset.
Absolutely. So we need to explore exactly how partnering with a brand whose operational methods seem so fundamentally flawed could put that asset in immediate structural jeopardy.
We have to move beyond the marketing noise and look at the operational reality. Knowledge is the only shield you have when you're assessing a vendor relationship.
You have to be able to spot the difference.
What's the difference between genuine high-level education that respects your time and your money versus what appears to be a highly sophisticated self-funding staffing solution disguised as a school?
And let's start right there, with the financials and the structure of the training itself.
Perfect.
So the documents we've reviewed, they detail that the Fireball Academy, which is headquartered in Olathe, Kansas, is marketed as this, definitive premium elite education experience.
The best of the best.
That's the pitch. And detailers who are motivated by the desire to secure a strong brand partnership, they pay handsomely for it. Based on the source material, the cost for what's advertised as a comprehensive 3-day certification course is well over $1,000 per person.
$1,000. That high fee sets a very high expectation. When you pay that much for 3 days of training, you expect intensive, focused, one-on-one instruction.
Right. Cutting-edge techniques, deep business strategy discussions.
That's what a professional is paying for.
Yeah.
Accelerated mastery.
But the reports, they reveal a profound and, it seems, deliberate disconnect between that marketing promise and the operational reality of the course.
How so?
When we looked at the internal schedules and time logs, the detailed breakdown of where those clock hours actually go, the picture changes dramatically. The course runs for approximately 24 hours total, spread across those 3 days.
Okay.
But the distribution of that time is where this exploitation model really becomes visible.
You call it the 3-day mirage. And looking at the time allocation, it's pretty clear that education is at best a secondary priority to production output.
It has to be.
Let's break down where the detailer's time is actually spent.
Let's run the numbers directly from the internal schedules. The single largest chunk of the detailer's investment, representing 75% of the entire course time.
75%.
75%, which translates to a whopping 18 hours out of 24. That time is spent on what the trainees quickly realize is just unpaid labor.
18 hours, that's 2 full working days of a 3-day course. And what exactly are these highly paid, highly motivated professionals doing for 18 hours?
They're acting as the shop crew.
You're kidding.
No, this involves the complete, tedious, and physically demanding prep process. The heavy washing, the chemical decon, the physical claying of the entire vehicle, the full polishing stages, and then the actual application of the final coating products.
So they're not working on little test panels or anything like that.
Not at all. They're not working on small test panels designed for, isolated skill repetition. They're working full tilt on real, high-value client cars that have to be delivered on time. They are essentially working a full, unpaid detailing shift every single day they're there.
And the actual theoretical reason they paid the tuition, the dedicated education and skill transfer time, how much of the 24 hours did the reports allocate to that?
Well, that's where it gets really shocking. The dedicated instruction time is minimal. The source material notes that classroom learning,
Okay.
which involves a quick presentation on the product line, flipping through a thin handbook, and maybe a short general business talk, that consumes only about 3 hours.
3 hours out of 24.
3 hours, or 12.5% of the total time. And if you look at time spent watching demonstrations, where a lead instructor is actually showing a correct technique, guiding a hand, or explaining chemical nuances,
Yeah.
that drops down to just about 1 hour, a paltry 4.2%.
So wait, let me get this straight. We have 18 hours of unpaid labor and only about 4 hours of actual instruction.
That's right. And that leaves about 2 hours, or 8.3%, which the reports allocate to filming retakes for media production, which we'll get into later, and mandated breaks.
So the detailer is paying a substantial tuition fee to provide 18 hours of professional labor, with instruction sort of awkwardly sandwiched in between production demands.
Exactly. The experience, according to the trainees we've seen accounts from, is deeply frustrating. They arrive expecting a collegiate atmosphere dedicated to mastery, and within hours they realize they are just cogs in a production machine.
And they're probably rushed.
Constantly. They're often being rushed through complex processes like precision polishing that require focus and repetition because the training schedule is dictated by the CEO's separate shop's delivery deadline, not by the student's learning curve.
This inherent conflict leads us right to what the investigative reports call the dual revenue strategy.
Or the double dip, as some call it. This is the central financial mechanism that transforms education into exploitation.
So how does that work?
This is where the business structure is, it's weaponized against the student. The cars the students are working on are not shop practice beaters. They aren't cars for R&D. They are certainly not donated vehicles.
They belong to paying clients.
They belong to paying clients of a separate co-located detailing company called Auto Appearance.
And crucially, the sources confirm that Auto Appearance is a business owned directly by the Fireball USA CEO.
That's the key. This structure allows the CEO to collect two distinct, non-overlapping streams of revenue for the exact same physical labor performed on the exact same vehicle.
Let's follow the money trail for a moment.
Okay, first, the CEO's Academy business collects the tuition, the $1,000 plus, from the student detailer who wants the certification.
Right.
Second, the separate professional shop, Auto Appearance, collects the service fee from the end customer, the car owner.
And we're not talking about small jobs here. These are high-end services.
It's extremely high-end. The sources cite that typical correction and coding jobs performed by these free crews cost the end client between $2,500 and $4,500.
Wow.
This is multi-stage paint correction, careful masking, coating application, sometimes even light interior work. This is high-margin labor.
So what's happening is the CEO is receiving the full revenue from the customer, that $2,500, $4,500, without incurring the single largest operational cost of any detailing shop.
Which is professional labor.
Exactly. The detailers attending the academy are providing thousands of dollars worth of work, for which the shop owner receives 100% of the revenue, plus the detailer paid over $1,000 for the privilege of performing it.
This isn't just inefficient training. As the sources emphasize, it's a highly sophisticated staffing solution disguised as an academic program. The CEO has found a mechanism to monetize his primary variable cost labor by turning it into a profit center.
It's unbelievable.
And the documents clearly state that trainees act as a free crew for Auto Appearance. They're providing the specialized, professional work needed to fulfill existing shop contracts and customer obligations. This essentially allows Auto Appearance to reduce its permanent payroll to almost zero during these training sessions.
They're just replacing full-time paid staff with a rotating group of paying students.
That's the model.
This is a fundamental betrayal of the concept of a partnership. The detailers arrive motivated to pay, learn, and partner, and they leave having essentially paid to compete against their own business model by providing free labor for the owner of the corporate brand they just endorsed.
And that priority profit over pedagogy is immediately visible in the training environment. If you try to work slowly and methodically, the way true mastery requires.
Like taking extra time on edges, proper tape lines.
We'll love it. Checking your polishing holograms. The sources indicate you're often redirected. Instructors are under pressure to keep up the pace of a pro shop. The priority shifts entirely to the CEO's profit margin and getting client cars out the door.
Which fundamentally undermines the learning experience for the person who paid thousands of dollars to be there.
It's manipulative. It preys on the detailer's desire for excellence. They pay to improve their craft, but the environment forces them to rush, to prioritize speed over quality.
And critically, this rushed, production-driven model leads directly into the next major finding we have.
The structural, technical risks, the things inherent in the methodology they are mandated to use.
Let's pivot to that, because this is where the risk moves beyond just financial exploitation and directly into guaranteed reputational damage.
Yeah, this is the finding that should concern the professional detailer the most. The sources highlight that Fireball leadership mandates techniques that actively ignore established industry standards and, disturbingly, ignore direct warnings from their own manufacturing chemists.
And the structural technical failure centers entirely around what they call the X method, which trainees are instructed to use specifically for ceramic coating application.
Correct. The instruction is to drag the applicator in a giant X across the hood or a panel, and then begin leveling and wiping.
If you are a professional who understands coating chemistry and application physics, you know instantly this sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
It fundamentally violates the principles of even film thickness and solvent management.
So should contrast this mandated technique with the established, recognized industry standard,
which is applying the coating in a structured grid pattern with highly controlled, overlapping lines.
And the grid pattern is the standard for a reason.
Of course. It ensures full, even coverage of the product, minimizing the risk of voids or missed spots. More importantly, it allows the installer to manage the chemical process correctly. The grid allows you to apply in small, manageable sections, giving you sufficient time to level the product before it begins to flash or cure too rapidly.
So why? Why would an academy that purports to teach excellence mandate the X method?
The sources suggest it's entirely for looks. It's aesthetic. It looks cool for social media videos. It provides a quick, dramatic visual that feeds into the corporate media strategy.
So they're prioritizing appearance and content creation over actual vehicle safety and technical integrity.
That's what it looks like. But the consequences of the X method are predictable. They're severe, and crucially, they lead directly to guaranteed fixable damage that you, the detailer, will be held financially and reputationally responsible for.
Let's dissect the 3 specific damages the investigative reports found the X method causes. Let's start with the detailer's most common headache: high spots.
High spots are inevitable with this method. They happen because the center of the X is hit with the applicator twice, once for each leg of the X.
So that specific centralized area receives twice the film thickness of the surrounding area.
Exactly. And when you compound the coating thickness like this, you create a reservoir of product that is simply too thick to level properly before the curing process begins.
And these high spots aren't just cosmetic imperfections, are they? They're thick, often dark or cloudy patches that catch the light, making the finish look uneven and just amateurish.
And they are extremely difficult to fix. Once the coating polymerizes in that thick layer, it sets. The only way to truly correct a high spot caused by this method is often to aggressively spot correct the area again.
Which means polishing off the brand new coating you just applied?
Right. Damaging the underlying clear coat further and then recoating, assuming you even have enough product left. It sets the professional detailer up for failure the second they begin application.
Okay, second point. The inherent flaw of time management: fast drying.
Coating application is a race against the cure rate, and a giant X pattern is inherently inefficient for a product designed to polymerize quickly once exposed to air. It creates an unmanageable workspace. The source material states that the initial X lines begin to dry or flash before the installer can cover the entire panel and come back to level the product in the center. The sheer size of the working area dictated by the X pattern prevents a smooth, even application.
So you're constantly chasing an already flashing product.
Constantly, which leads to poor adhesion and an uneven, patchy visual result across the whole panel.
And finally, the actual physical damage this rush job environment creates for the customer's car. Micro scratches on the clear coat itself.
This is the consequence of that fast-drying issue hitting the leveling step. If the coating begins to polymerize or cure while you are wiping it with a leveling towel, that partially cured product acts like a microscopic abrasive.
It creates friction.
It creates friction between the towel and the car's clear coat. And that friction is precisely what leaves a spider web of fine micro scratches on the clear coat, the exact thing the detailer is hired to remove.
So you have a technique that is taught under the guise of excellence, yet it actively introduces guaranteed high spots and microscopic physical damage.
And the detailer pays over $1,000 to learn a method that guarantees they will have to perform unnecessary labor later, risking their reputation with every single car.
It's mind-boggling.
And the most disturbing detail here is the documented history of warnings. The sources are clear. Manufacturing partners and chemists reportedly flagged this X method, explaining that it causes paint damage and creates significant liability.
And yet it continues to be taught.
It does, which reinforces the impression that technical integrity is secondary to generating shareable, visually dramatic content.
It speaks volumes about the priorities of the U.S. leadership. If the people who formulate the product tell you the method causes damage and you continue to teach it,
You're prioritizing media over professionalism. And that disregard for technical quality had ripple effects even internationally. The sources note the extreme reaction of the global CEO of Fireball Korea, the ultimate parent company.
What happened?
He was reportedly distressed and highly upset when he saw this flawed technique being utilized and taught in the U.S.
If the original manufacturers are expressing alarm and distress, that should tell every potential master installer everything they need to know about the integrity of the education they're paying for.
You would think so. But the technical deception doesn't stop with application methods. It extends into their major marketing claims, specifically around coating hardness.
Ah, the 9H claim.
This is a textbook example of scientific ambiguity being exploited for marketing gain. It's used to justify the high price point and the claim of elite performance. The Academy heavily promotes its high-end coatings like Aegis and DocDo, using claims of 9H or sometimes even 10H hardness.
And when a detailer hears 9H, they immediately associate it with the upper limits of durability. To the customer, that H sounds incredibly tough. You naturally think of the Mohs scale diamond, granite, sapphire.
But that's not the scale they're actually using. They're using the pencil hardness test.
Which is a vastly different, far less rigorous testing standard.
Completely different. In the pencil hardness test, 9H is simply the hardest lead available in a graphite pencil set. The marketing strategy is designed to actively encourage you to confuse this test with the Mohs mineral scale, which is the legitimate scientific scale for scratch resistance.
And the difference in scale is just colossal. A 9 on the Mohs scale is corundum sapphire, a material that can scratch almost anything short of diamond.
Whereas the pencil hardness test just measures the resistance of a surface to scratching from a specific pencil lead under a very specific controlled load. A 9H pencil point is still just graphite. It is not sapphire.
And scientifically speaking, a liquid polymer coating simply cannot reach a 9 on the true Mohs scale. That's a physical impossibility.
Exactly. The reports clarify the factual limitations. The 9H pencil test translates to only about a 6 or 7 on the true Mohs mineral scale.
To put that into perspective, most OEM factory clear coats already sit around a 5 or a 6 on the Mohs scale.
So while the coating provides a marginal improvement, the 9H marketing claim suggests near indestructibility, when in reality, the coating is barely harder than the clear coat that came on the car.
It's an intentional marketing trick built on confusing two different testing standards, and it sets the professional detailer up to unintentionally mislead their customers,
guaranteeing future disappointment when the coating inevitably scratches from normal wear and tear, damaging the detailer's integrity. And this hardness claim is often linked to the claim of manufactured scarcity. The Academy asserts that coatings like Aegis and DocDo are incredibly exclusive.
But the sources indicate the chemical reality is far less exciting.
Correct. According to the investigative reports, the chemical makeup of these exclusive coatings is largely similar to many high CO2 brands that are readily available everywhere on the open market.
So they take commodity chemistry, wrap it in a fancy label, apply a misleading hardness test, and then use that to justify a coercive business model.
a model that requires mandatory, recurring tuition checks to maintain product access.
If the first two sections covered financial exploitation and technical liability, this next section is perhaps the most chilling for the independent shop owner.
I agree.
It details the administrative threat designed to hold your entire existing business operations, your customer relationships, your warranties, your inventory hostage. This model is engineered to ensure you remain a perpetually paying student, regardless of whether you need the education or not.
When detailers enter the network, they typically start at the professional or expert tiers. This system is the initial carrot, granting them the ability to buy and advertise the high-end, supposedly exclusive coatings.
But this access is conditional. It's temporary.
Extremely temporary. And the condition isn't skill maintenance or continuous product use. It's a financial obligation, often buried deep within the paperwork of the master installer agreement.
One-year trial.
That's the critical mechanism that keeps the revenue stream flowing. The clause requires every single installer, regardless of their prior experience, to attend an in-person training session at the Kansas City headquarters within exactly 1 year of signing the original agreement.
And the reports noted that sales reps often omit or downplay this crucial detail during the initial pitch.
They focus on the lucrative talking points like territory rights and profit margins instead.
So imagine you're a detailer. You sign up, you buy the initial kit, you spend the next 11 months successfully using the product, building a local reputation around the Fireball name. Then the clock hits 11 months and 30 days.
And the pressure campaign begins. That's when the high-pressure email sequence kicks in. This is the moment where the partnership transforms into coercion.
And the sources highlight the subject line, which is pure psychological warfare.
It is. It's designed to cause instant panic. Time is up. Register for training today, or you'll miss your chance.
That's not a friendly reminder. That's an aggressive marketing tactic disguised as an administrative death sentence. What are the practical threats contained within that notice?
The email is a financial hammer. It bluntly states that if you do not register and pay, Fireball USA will sever the business agreement. The detailer is given a very short grace period, often 30, 60, or 90 days before termination becomes final.
It's not about evaluating your skill level. It's a mandatory recurring payment.
Just to maintain the right to operate your existing business using their products. And the consequences of this termination are designed to inflict maximum pain on an independent small business owner.
Let's walk through those consequences. What's first?
First, the immediate revocation of branding. You instantly lose the right to use Fireball logos, marketing materials, certified installer titles. If you've invested thousands into your local brand identity, your website, your social media, your storefront signs, you are now legally required to scrub that identity immediately.
It effectively erases a year of your investment in reputation building.
And causes massive confusion among your established customer base. Second consequence. The promised benefits vanish.
The lead generation.
The lead generation blackout. Those valuable, free local leads that were often the primary reason you were recruited, they stop immediately. It's a direct financial penalty intended to isolate you and force you to pay.
But the sources identify one threat as the truly existential, operational killer for any shop with existing customers.
Oh, inventory freeze. This is the critical liability risk. If you're terminated or even just out of compliance, you lose the ability to order professional-grade coatings from the distributor network.
Which creates an immediate and potentially severe legal liability with your own customers. Let's walk through that scenario.
Okay. Imagine a customer whose car you coated 6 months ago returns. They have a bird-dropping etching that went through the coating. Or maybe they had a minor fender bender and need a single panel repaired and recoated.
You're bound by the written warranty you issued to that customer to fix that issue.
And you have to use the specific branded product you initially applied. Let's say it's Docto. But if you're locked out due to the inventory freeze, you can't buy it.
You cannot fulfill that obligation.
You can't. You can't buy the specific product or even the necessary primers or maintenance chemicals. This immediately puts you in breach of the written warranty you provided to your customer.
Which opens you up to negative reviews, chargebacks, and potentially major legal trouble.
The company is holding your ability to fulfill past sales hostage. Your commitment to your existing clients is essentially weaponized against you, forcing you to pay that tuition fee immediately, regardless of your schedule or financial standing.
It's an incredibly aggressive way to manage a distributor network.
And to ensure compliance, the company employs deceptive tactics to manufacture urgency. the classic FOMO deception.
The sources reveal that staff are instructed to tell detailers that seats are filling fast or that there are only 3 weeks left.
Right, to panic the detailer into immediate payment before they have time to evaluate the situation or check travel costs. But internal logs show the opposite is frequently true.
Classes often have many empty seats.
It's purely a high-pressure sales tactic. And this entire sequence, from the hidden clause to the inventory freeze, it reinforces the definitive pay-to-play rule. It doesn't matter if you have 20 years of verifiable paint correction experience.
The termination threats apply equally. You can't test out.
Mandatory payment is the metric for success, proving that the model's priority is enrollment revenue, not skill validation.
Having navigated the labor exploitation and the coercive business model, we now pivot to how the detailer is commoditized through media.
This is where it gets even more insidious. When you attend the academy, you are not just paying tuition and providing free labor. You are actively paying to become content for the corporation's exclusive profit.
The sources indicate that the Fireball Academy functions less like a detailing school and far more like a professional movie set. They employ dedicated camera crews and audio teams. Their in-house production group is known as Ember Studios.
And their sole job is to film trainees during their unpaid labor. Critically, detailers must sign a very broad media release upon enrollment. This release grants Fireball unrestricted access to use their image and their labor for what the sources explicitly term likeness theft for revenue.
Let's define that theft. The footage is expertly edited into highly produced Academy episodes for the centralized Fireball USA YouTube channel and other social media platforms.
And the outcome is a completely one-sided transaction. You, the detailer, pay the tuition, perform the free high-value labor on the CEO's client's car, and provide your image and likeness for the video.
Meanwhile, the corporation Fireball USA collects all the resulting ad revenue, all the marketing value, all the brand uplift generated by those videos.
The detailer receives none of it. They pay a substantial fee for the privilege of creating content for their corporate partner.
And this emphasis on constant filming comes at a direct, measurable cost to the already minimal learning time we discussed earlier.
Absolutely. The reports from former attendees confirm that the learning process is constantly interrupted by the media agenda. Teachers frequently stop lessons mid-sentence for the cameras.
They're forced to repeat steps for beauty shots.
Multiple times. A final wipe, a panel check, whatever they need for lighting adjustments or to get the perfect camera take. This systematically reduces the already meager 4 hours of actual instruction time the student paid for. The film schedule takes precedence over the educational mandate.
But the exploitation runs deeper than just stolen ad revenue. It extends to the systematic erasure of the individual detailer's business identity.
This is the core strategic goal of their media department, and it directly contradicts the idea of a partnership. The sources state the company actively hides the names and locations of the detailer's independent shops in the videos.
They'll pixelate logos or strategically frame shots to ensure the audience can't identify the local small business owner who performed the high-quality work.
Exactly. The purpose is purely centralized lead funneling. The entire media production strategy is designed to drive audience traffic only to the centralized corporate website.
So Fireball retains all the brand credit for itself,
ensuring that potential local leads who see the high-quality work online are sent to the corporate sales office, not directly to the local small business owner who actually executed the correction on camera. The detailer pays, works, and risks their reputation only to have their local identity deliberately suppressed.
And if you needed any more proof of how the detailer is truly viewed within the corporate structure, internal documents obtained during the investigation remove all pretense of partnership.
This is perhaps the most telling piece of language we found. Internal documents, such as the Ember Studios roadmap, explicitly label the detailers not as partners or installers or even students.
What do they call them?
Content assets.
Content assets. The language there is profoundly important. They're not partners who sign a media release. They are literally defined as production inputs.
Interchangeable parts to be consumed to build the corporate media empire. That fundamental shift in terminology reveals the true dehumanizing nature of the relationship. You are an asset to be used for corporate growth, not an independent business to be supported.
And this systemic pressure often prevents genuine consent for participation.
It does. Trainees report feeling subtly coerced. They feel forced to comply with constant filming, perform multiple retakes, and deliver overly enthusiastic, scripted interviews for fear of failing their skill check or jeopardizing their expensive certificate.
That fear is powerful leverage. The resultant loyalty or enthusiasm you see in those slick YouTube videos is often entirely scripted or coerced.
Rather than reflecting the detailer's real experience of being rushed, interrupted, and exploited for corporate profit. Essentially, the detailer pays thousands of dollars for the privilege of acting as a full-time, unpaid worker and a marketable content asset, receiving zero promotional value for their own shop in return.
It is a completely one-sided, predatory media and labor model wrapped up in the promise of an elite certification. It's astonishing how meticulously layered the exploitation is. It hits the detailer financially, technically, operationally, and professionally all at once.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you, the professional detailer, sitting in your shop trying to make the best decisions for your business? We've taken an exhaustive deep dive into the business and technical models of this particular coding partner.
And the investigation points to a clear, actionable pattern that every professional needs to recognize when choosing any brand affiliation.
We've synthesized the findings into two major interconnected risks that immediately threaten your business. The first is pervasive technical liability.
The mandatory production-driven use of the flawed X method application guarantees paint damage, guaranteed high spots, and micro scratches on the clear coat. You, the detailer, are held responsible for this structural flaw, risking your hard-earned reputation with every car you coat using their mandated technique.
And the second risk is systemic financial exploitation. This is the calculated use of high tuition fees, well over $1,000, to secure 18 hours of unpaid labor for the CEO's separate high-revenue shop auto appearance,
Resulting in that lucrative double-dip profit. And this whole system is enforced by a coercive contract that demands mandatory recurring payments via aggressive termination threats, those terrifying times-up emails, and most critically, immediate inventory freezes.
which holds your ability to fulfill existing client warranties and legal obligations hostage.
The ultimate takeaway must be clear. Certification in this network, regardless of the brand's perceived status or visual slickness on social media, is only as secure as your next mandatory tuition check.
Your hard-earned reputation is built on technical quality, transparency, and integrity. It is worth far more than a cool brand name built on misleading scientific claims and coercive contracts.
And the practice of using you as a content asset.
The ultimate lesson here is that genuine transparency, ethical labor practices, and adherence to proven industry standards, like the grid application method, are absolutely non-negotiable criteria when selecting a major manufacturing partner.
And if the training department's primary measurable goal is profit generation, content creation, and labor acquisition, not demonstrably improving your skill mastery.
You are not entering a partnership. You are integrating your independent business into a vertically integrated corporate revenue stream for someone else's exclusive benefit.
And this leaves us with a final thought for you to mull over as you assess your own vendor relationships moving forward.
What's that?
If the technical methods taught actively damage a car, which we know the X method does, and the entire training experience prioritizes corporate filming and the CEO's urgent labor needs over a student's technical mastery, what is the actual enduring value beyond temporary coerced product access the detailers are truly paying for?
Is the fee for education, or is it merely the cost of continued compliance?